Joining me now is Employment and Workplace Relations Minister Murray Watt. Of course, Murray, you've probably heard, Minister, the latest developments out of the Middle East this morning. Can I get your reaction now that a ceasefire deal has been reached between Hamas and Israel?
Well, good morning, Kenny. And yeah, this is very good news. We very much welcome the announcement that we've just seen of a ceasefire and also the release of those hostages. This is something that our government has worked very hard on with the international community for some time now. This dispute has been going on for 15 months, and we've all seen the terrible loss of life, the terrible impact on Israeli families of having those hostages detained so long. So we think that this is a really constructive step also towards a longer-term peace plan for the region. There has been conflict in this region for so long, and potentially this does provide a platform for something more long-term. But look, I think more than anything, Kenny, what I'm thinking about today and our government's thinking about is civilians, Israeli civilians, Palestinian civilians who've gone through so much over the last 15 months. And you can see from those celebrations on the street, whether it be in Israel or the Palestinian-occupied territories, the joy that people are feeling, and we very much share their celebration today.
How much do you think the United Nations, including Australia's change of position at the UN, put pressure on Israel to come to the table?
Look, I think there are many different people and different countries that have played a really big role in getting to this point. In particular, we want to congratulate the mediators from the United States, Qatar and Egypt, who've really led the negotiations to get to this point. But I think that all of the pressure that the international community has put on all sides in this conflict has been really important. I think the international community has been dismayed for some time about the casualties that we've seen in the Gaza, but also, of course, the terrible pain that families of the hostages have gone through over this entire period. So I've got no doubt that that united effort from so many countries around the world has really been important.
Are you confident that the temperature will be lowered here in Australia following this development?
I certainly hope so, Kenny. Of course, our government has for some time been very clear that there's absolutely no place for anti-Semitism in the Australian community, and we've made funds available to different communities to support them through some really ugly incidents. But as I say, those celebrations that we've seen in the region in the last few hours, I think should be a real pointer to people here in Australia that this is something that we should all get behind. There never should have been the anti-Semitic attacks that we've seen in Australia. And now more than ever, when there's the possibility of a longer-term peace, this is the time that people have got to stop that kind of behaviour. There's no place for it. It's against Australian values. And I think people should share in those celebrations and the hope that we're finally seeing in this region.
Just on another issue, pay packets of low and middle income earners and younger Australians are rising at rates almost double those on high incomes, according to latest figures out today by the government. So the highest growth in wages are those earning less than $54,000. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, Kenny. We've seen some more pleasing results come out in the last 24 hours on wages. This is something that our government has worked really hard to get wages moving again since coming to office, because, of course, for the 10 years we saw under the coalition before that, we saw them deliberately going out of their way to keep wages low. So we said we'd get wages moving again, and it's great to see that starting to happen. Across all income categories, we've now seen wage rises of, on average, 3.8%, and that compares to 2.2% under the whole period of the coalition government, so nearly double what we saw under the coalition government. But in particular, it's really pleasing that low and middle income earners have been experiencing higher wage rises than higher income earners. And of course, it's low and middle income earners who particularly need that help. So we really recognise, of course, that many Australians are still doing it tough out there, but getting wages moving again and rising has been absolutely critical to helping people with their cost of living pressures. And I think it's going to be a really big issue come election time, because not only did the coalition preside over those 10 years of wage stagnation, but they voted against every change we've made to workplace laws which have got wages moving again. And Peter Dutton is already on the record saying that if he wins the election, he will unwind a number of those changes, which is another way of saying that people's pay will go backwards under the coalition, just like it did last time they were in office.
OK, Minister, we've got a lot going on this morning. We better get moving. But Murray Watt, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks.